Hello, welcome to this tutorial on fractions. This is part one of a two-part tutorial covering these topics on fractions. In this part we are going to cover the first three there. We're going to do calculating a fraction of amount and converting from mixed numbers to improper fractions, and from improper fractions to mixed numbers. Part two will cover the four operations: adding, subtracting, multiplying and dividing fractions. Let's crack on. So, to calculate a fraction of an amount, let's take this example. Find 7/20ths of $8,000. Well, to calculate a fraction amount, if we have no calculator, then I would encourage you to divide by the bottom, the denominator, and then multiply by the top. So take the value, the $8,000, and then divide it by 20 and multiply it by the 7. Generally that way is the best if you don't have a calculator. So for example here, 8,000 divided by 20 would be the same as 800 divided by 2, which is 400. And then we'll take that 400, multiply by 7, 4 7s are 28, and so we get 2,800. So divide by the bottom times by the top. Can't go too far wrong. There are other ways, there's many different ways to do it, but that is one quick way. If you have got a calculator, then this part here, the of, recognise that as a times or a multiply. Okay? And then you can simply type in this fraction, type in multiply, and then type in $8,000. Now to type that fraction in a calculator, depending on the calculator that you've got, you will probably find a button looking at somewhere one of those ones. It's either this sort of two squares above each other, or this ABC button that's on some of the Casio ones. Have a play, try and find it for yourselves. So you type that in your calculator. In fact, let's go through a quick example of how to do that last one. So if I want to do 7 fraction 20, we type it in like that. 7, then the fraction button, then the 20, and then we will go over to the right on this one, multiply by 8,000, and let's just check that we do get 2,800. Okay. Here's one for you guys to try. So if you've got it, if you want to do it without a calculator, or with a calculator, probably try both and see how you get on. I'll pause it now, or you should pause it now, and I'm now going to give you the answer for that one to check. There it is, 64. So 8 over 25, that line means divide, and so you could type in even 8 divided by 25 times 200. There are many, many ways to do it. Okay, that is finding a fraction of an amount. Part 2, we're on to mixed to improper. Now what do we mean by that? That's not a very good title, it's not very well defined. We're saying we're converting from a mixed number to an improper fraction. So we've got two key terms here: mixed number, improper fraction. Let's have a look at what a mixed number is. A mixed number is when we have a whole part, an integer, a full number, and a fraction part. It's mixed. It's got a whole part and a fractional part. Okay? So we've got two whole ones and 2/3. That's the mixed number. Now, to convert that to an improper fraction, well, an improper fraction is any fraction where the top is greater than the bottom. For example, 200 over 3 is an improper fraction. 18 over 5 is an improper fraction. Anything where the numerator at the top, is greater than the denominator. Okay, that's an improper fraction. So if I want to convert a mixed number to an improper, it's useful to picture it in your mind the first couple of times. You don't have to do this, but I think it's useful to know what's going on. So here we go. We're dealing with thirds. We know we're dealing with thirds, with two whole ones and 2/3. So let's think of the two whole ones as thirds. Well, the two whole ones, that's going to be 3/3. The other whole one is going to be 3/3. And then we've got our 2/3. And if I count the number of thirds I've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I have 8 thirds, 8 over 3. Okay? So 2 and 2/3 is 8 over 3, 8 thirds. Now there is a sort of a trick to that, and what you need to do is to say, well, the whole parts, the two whole ones, if I'm dealing with thirds, I'm going to have 2 lots of 3. So what I do here is I take the 2, multiply by the 3, 2 times 3, then I add the 2, the extra 2 on the top there, the numerator. Let's just do that again. Multiply the whole part, the 2, by the denominator, the 3, 2 times 3. Then add the numerator. So that gets us 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8. That gets us the 8. We're dealing with thirds, that doesn't change. 8 over 3. So multiply by the bottom, add the top, keep the denominator the same. Is one way to remember it. Now going back the other way, so converting an improper fraction to a mixed number. Improper fraction to a mixed number. Here's an example, 10 over 3, 10 thirds. Again, let's try and picture this, so let's see what that would look like. Well, if we're dealing with thirds, I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there were 3 whole ones, and 1/3 extra. 3 and 1/3. You could draw diagrams for some of these, but obviously when you get to big numbers, it gets confusing. So 10 thirds is the same as 3 and 1/3. How do we do that without drawing the diagrams? Well, all we're saying is this line here means divide. If you're comfortable with that, we're just doing 10 divided by 3. How many 3's go into the 10 and what's left over? How many 3's go into 10? 3. What's left over? 1. Okay? So you say, how many 3's go in, how many of the denominator go into the numerator, and what's left over? Right. See if you can have a go at that. I'm just going to, before you have a go at a couple of questions, I'm just going to show you how to do that on a calculator, or how we can convert between an improper and a mixed number using this graphical display calculator. So if I have that one there, let's say 10 over 3. Let's go 10, fraction button 3. When I press execute, I get this 10 over 3 here. If I want to change that into a mixed number, I can use the button above the SD. So let me just show you what I'm clicking here. I'm going to press shift and then this button here. And you can see my answer there has turned to 3 and 1/3. So on this calculator, it's this ABC to DC button. Have a play with those, start to feel confident. If I want to go back, I'll do the same thing again. And we've gone back to an improper fraction. Alright, here's a couple for you to try. So see if you can convert 11 over 4 to a mixed number, and see if you convert 5 3/4 to an improper fraction. Pause the video now, have a go at those, and after you've paused, here are the answers to those two questions. Cool. And there are your answers. 11 over 4, we say how many 4's go into 11? That is 2, because 2 4's are 8, and there's a remainder of 3. So there are 2 whole ones, remainder 3, denominator stays the same. Alright, the other one, I multiply 5 by 4 is 20, add the 3 is 23, the denominator stays the same. Alright, that's converting between improper and mixed, a quick tutorial. and also finding a fractional amount. Thanks for watching.